Okay. Is my voice audible to you?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Okay, fine. Okay. So till now we have seen in a single phase AC circuit. Okay. What is the basic concept of basic description regarding how a single phase AC voltage is generated? Considering a coil, it is generated based on Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, right? And after that, we have seen what is a sinusoidal waveform, what are the various, terminologies that are used in a sinusoidal waveform, like amplitude, frequency, time period, angular frequency, omega radians per second. All these things we have discussed, and then we have already also seen, some expressions. What is the phase angle difference between the waveforms? Let's say V1, V2 we have considered, and what is the phase angle difference, and what is called lagging and what is called leading. Okay, you are clear with these terms, right? Lagging and leading, you know, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
one waveform is ahead of the other one, then we will call that one is leading with respect to the other one, right? Right. So other one which is lagging, having a minus phase angle, usually that will be lagging with respect to the other one. Okay. So to compare the phase angle or to say which one is leading or which one is lagging, you have to follow the three basic rules to find the phase difference. One is both should be of positive amplitude, both waveforms should be positive, both should have the same frequency, and last one is they should be expressed both in cosine function or sine function. Then only you can find the phase angle difference, or then only you can determine which waveform is lagging with respect to the other. Okay, so next we will see the two more elements which are called as inductor and capacitor. So you might have studied these things. So quickly we'll go through the basic information regarding inductor and capacitor thing. Right. So coming to capacitor, so what he's saying is all real components have an inherent resistance, capacitance, and inductance associated with them, although their value may be small. So what it is saying is all components, any elements which you are using, they have some small or large value of resistance, inductance, and capacitance within them. Okay, right. So independent, dependent voltage and current sources, which we have already discussed, are called as active elements, right? Because why they are called as active elements is because they have the ability to deliver power or transfer energy from them to other elements. Okay, so that's why they are called as active elements. And linear resistor, we call it linear because the VA relationship is linear, so that is called as a linear resistor. That is a passive element. Why it is called as passive element? Because this cannot supply an average power greater than 0 or an infinite time interval. That means it can't supply an average power which is greater than 0 for an infinite time interval. Okay, right. So that's why this is called as a passive element which can only consume power. Okay, right. Next, coming to capacitor. So the capacitor is also an passive element and denoted by capacitance C. If you see the voltage current relationship for a capacitor, it is given by this equation 1. I is equals to C into dV by dt. Okay. I is equals to C into dV by dt. Remember that these are functions of time. V is a function of time here and I is also a function of time. Right. So what is this current I? What is this voltage V? That we will see. Okay. The unit for capacitance, you already know it is farads, or it is also called as coulomb per volt. Okay. 1 coulomb per volt is same as farad. Okay. The unit for capacitance is farads. Okay. Coming to electrical symbol and passive sign convention for capacitor, you can see here, this is the symbol for capacitor having a capacitance of C and the current I in equation 1 is the current flowing into the capacitor, and the V which was shown in your equation 1 is nothing but the voltage across the capacitor plates. So that means voltage across the capacitor terminals, okay, with positive and negative polarity marked. Okay, this is called as passive sign convention. Okay, so that means the current entering the capacitor should enter through the positive terminal, and you should have a voltage V across the capacitor terminals. If you represent all these things, that means current, voltage with polarity, current with direction, and a capacitance C, this is called as passive sign convention. And for this passive sign convention, the voltage current relationship is given by equation 1. That means the current flowing into the capacitor terminal is equals to the value of capacitance of the capacitor into rate of change of voltage with respect to time, right? So when current is flowing into that, obviously there will be a voltage developed across the capacitor. Okay, so the voltage which was developed with respect to time multiplied with the capacitance of the capacitor is nothing but the current flowing into the positive terminal. That means charge is flowing, voltage is building across the capacitor terminals. So that is given by this relation I is equals to C into dV by dt. This is called as passive sign convention. That means this is the convention which we are adopting, assuming that capacitor will draw some energy, draw some power. That means it will consume the amount of power. This is what the convention you have to follow. Okay, right. So if the voltage across the capacitor terminals is constant, okay, that means a constant voltage across the capacitor will result in zero current. If you see from equation 1, it's derivative of V. So if V is constant, which is not varying with respect to time, obviously the derivative of constant will be zero. So that means your right hand side will become zero and current will also become zero. Okay, so that means a constant voltage across the capacitor will result in zero current passing through it. That is, a capacitor is thus an open circuit for DC. That means if you are applying a DC voltage, which is a constant voltage, okay, in that scenario, the current flowing through the capacitor is equals to zero. Okay, so after steady state has reached, initially it will keep on charging and it will build some amount of voltage across the capacitor. Once the voltage was built, after that the voltage remains constant and no current will flow into the capacitor terminal. That means for constant value of voltage, the current flowing into the capacitor terminal is zero. So that means for DC, the current is zero. That means it is acts as an open circuit. Clear? So this is regarding passive sign convention and the basic relation of voltage and current across the capacitor terminals is given by equation 1. Right. So the same equation 1, the capacitor voltage can be written in this format. There it was written I is equals to C into dV by dt. If you write in this fashion, that is dV is equals to 1 by C into I t with respect to dt. So you can write the same expression in this format also. Now if you integrate on both sides, you will get this one, V of t is equals to 1 by C integral of I of t with respect to dt plus constant k. Okay, I hope you know this. V is equal, I is equals to C into dV by dt. V is equals to 1 by C integral of I of t with respect to dt. This is constant of integration. Okay, if the initial conditions are 0, then k is equals to 0. Okay, initial condition means there is no charge previously present within your capacitor. That means you have bought a new capacitor which was free of charge, no energy stored in it. At that instant, if you apply some amount of voltage, obviously some current will flow into it. Okay, so that means some charge is flowing. So that current over a time period integrated is nothing but the voltage which you have applied. Okay, voltage which was developed across the capacitor. So V is equals to 1 by C integral of I of t with respect to dt. If initial conditions are 0, K will be equals to 0. Okay. Right. So integral of I with respect to dt is nothing but charge Q. If you remember, we define current charge in motion represents current, and current integrated with some time period is nothing but the charge which was flowing in the wire. Okay, flowing in that element. Okay, so the integral of current with respect to time is nothing but q of t. So if you do that with k is equals to 0, you will get q of t is equals to c into v of t. Okay, right. So this is one more. Yeah.
Sir, Q of t is representing that charge at an instant of time. So, sir, it is like at every instant, some charge is coming to the capacitor and it is being stored. And
Yeah.
at the next instant, some other charge is coming, but
Yeah.
the previous charge has gone somewhere or.
That's what. If you consider a new capacitor where there is no initial charge, okay, right?
Yes, sir.
There is no initial charge. That means initially the energy stored or the charge within the capacitor is 0. If you consider that instant, this is the expression. Okay.
Yes, sir.
If some previous charge is there, then this k will not be 0. It will have some finite value that will depend upon the initial condition. Okay. That k you have to find out based on the initial condition. So in this expression, we assumed k is equals to 0. That means there is no initial charge present in the capacitor. So that's why this q of t is equals to c into v of t I wrote. Okay. If you say that charge is present initially, then this expression is not true. You will have
Sir,
q of t1 minus q of t naught is equals to c into v of t1 minus v of t naught. Right. So that means when initial charge is there, some voltage will also be there. Okay. Right. This
sir,
expression.
I am being yes, sir. Sir, I am being confused that will this charge add to the next charge or it will just it is just given as some addition.
The expression what I have shown is assuming that there is no charge in that. Okay. If there is no charge in that, the expression what I have given is correct. Okay. If you say that there is some charge is present in that, next the question comes, the current is flowing into your positive terminal or the negative terminal. Okay. If you say the current is flowing into the positive terminal and if some charge is already there, okay, right.
Yes,
so, okay, in that scenario, you will get, okay, so you have started giving some current at time instant t1. Okay, right. But there is some charge which is already there at a t naught. Okay. So what happens is you will get q of t1 minus q of t naught is equals to v into is equals to c into v of t1 minus v of t naught. You are understanding?
Yes, sir.
This v
Yes,
of
yes.
t is the voltage difference across the potential across the terminals of the capacitor. Voltage difference. Okay. Right. If initially some charge is there, that charge needs to be subtracted from, I mean, you have to subtract right here. On the left hand side, you will have minus q of t naught. On the right hand side, you will have minus v of t naught. Okay. So that means if you see already some voltage is there across V1, some voltage existing, let's say 5 volts. Now we are trying to send some current into the positive terminal. What will happen? Voltage is already there. Now we are pumping charge. Again, voltage will build up, and already some charge is there. So this charge will add up to that charge. Okay, right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
So it will increase your charge. If you consider, okay, if you interchange the polarity, that means the sign convention what I have shown here, this is the sign convention you have used. Suddenly at one instant of time, I try to inject current in the opposite direction. Okay, opposite side. Then it will not add up, it will become opposite. Maybe you will get confused.
Yes,
okay, right. Because for the current direction what I have chosen here, this is the polarity. If you choose the current direction in the opposite direction, then the polarity will be opposite to that. Okay, then it will try to reduce the charge. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is called as passive sign convention. That means the convention in which the current is flowing into your capacitor terminals. This is the passive sign convention. Usually we will use in AC circuits. Okay. assuming that the capacitor is trying to, draw current or draw charge into it. Okay. So that all comes under transient conditions. We are not, so what question you have asked now, already some charge is present. Okay, that comes under transient studies. Okay, transient studies means some amount of charge or some amount of energy is already stored in the elements in your circuit. Okay, it could be a capacitor, it could be an inductor. Okay, some amount of energy is already stored in it, and at that instant you are trying to connect some voltage source or current source and trying to force more charge into it. Okay, so that is called as transient studies. So what is happening already when some charge is there and you are trying to force more charge, in that scenario how the voltage waveform is going to vary, how the current is going to vary, that all comes under transient studies. Okay, that is called as transient studies, that we are not going to discuss. Okay, we are going to discuss only steady state condition. Okay, steady state condition means assuming that there is no charge in that and we are analyzing the circuit at the first time. Okay, why means,
Okay, sir.
why means the transient energy, that means some amount of energy which is present in the inductor or capacitor, after some time it will die out on its own. Okay, assuming that the energy which was already present in the circuit has already died out of its own and there is no energy stored in the elements present in your circuit, in that scenario I am trying to connect an voltage source or a current source and try to study. Okay,
Yes, sir.
right.
Okay, sir.
Okay, fine. Right, so this is the expression when you consider the initial energy is not present in your capacitor and Q is equals to C into V of t. So this is one way of representing your capacitance of the capacitor. Okay, right. So characteristics of an ideal capacitor. What it means? There is no current through the capacitor if the voltage across it is not changing with respect to time. That means if you apply a constant voltage across the capacitor, it will initially, if you apply DC voltage, it will initially charge to one point. Once it has charged to that level, after that, it will not charge anymore. So that means the current flowing through the capacitor is zero. So that means for DC, the capacitor acts as an open circuit. Okay. During the charging time, it is called as transient condition. So that, assuming that transient condition is over, under steady state condition for DC, voltage capacitor acts as open circuit. And one more property of the capacitor is a capacitor resists an abrupt change in the voltage across it. So what it means is, you have seen I is equals to C into dV by dt. Abrupt change means in a short span of time, I am trying to change the voltage across the capacitor to a large value. Okay, right? In a short span of time, very small amount of time, I am trying to change the voltage across the capacitor by a large value. That is usually not possible. That means capacitor will not agree for it. It will try to oppose that change. Okay. Why means, if you see from this expression, in a short span of time, very small time, I want to change the voltage to a large value. So that means the current should be large. Current is directly proportional to dV. So current should be large. Okay. Current should be very high. Okay. So that means you require very large amount of current to make that happen. So, and that is not possible because you may not have a source, or that requires infinite amount of energy to change the voltage across the capacitor instantaneously. So that is not possible. So capacitor usually tries to oppose or resist the change in voltage across it. That is one property. And for DC, it acts as an open circuit. Clear? So you have to basically remember this basic expression I is equals to C into dV by dt and this passive sign convention. Okay. Next, coming to an inductor. Okay. So capacitor is and inductor is different. Inductor is magnetic field. Okay. Everything in terms of flux. Okay. So capacitor is everything in terms of electrostatic field. Okay. So it is electrostatic related thing and inductor is magnetic field. So we have already seen magnetic field is something related to flux. Okay. So it's basically a magnetic circuit inductor. So briefly I will say a current carrying conductor produces a magnetic field. So that means whenever if you take a simple wire and send some current through it, a magnetic field is always produced. That means some amount of flux is always produced because of the current flowing in the conductor. Okay, so current flowing in the conductor results in a magnetic field around it. So that is there. And if a time varying current is flowing through the coil, okay, that means you take a wire and make in the form of a coil and send some amount of current through it. Okay, right, and that current should be time varying. That means it is not a DC current, you are sending some sinusoidal current through it. If a time varying current is flowing through the coil, there is an EMF induced in it. That means across the coil terminals there will be a voltage developed across it. Okay, right, so that means if a time varying current, that means a sinusoidal current is made to flow through a coil, obviously a voltage will be generated across its terminals, and the induced voltage across the coil is directly proportional to rate of change of current with respect to time. So that means this is the expression V is equals to L into di by dt. The current flowing through the coil is I, the voltage developed across the coil is V, and this voltage developed and the current flowing are related by this expression V is equals to L into di by dt. This L denotes the inductance of that coil. This L is called as inductance, denoted by letter L, and that is called as inductance of the coil. Okay, right, so that means the voltage which was developed across the coil is directly proportional to rate of change of current flowing through the coil, and both are linked by a proportionality constant denoted by L. This L is nothing but your called as inductance. Okay, so what is the passive sign convention for this inductor? Similar to capacitor, you will have some passive sign convention. Here it is shown here. So that means if IL is the current which is varying with respect to time flowing into the coil, L of inductance, and there will be a voltage developed across the coil terminals with positive and negative polarity, it was given as VL. So this VL is nothing but V here, and this IL is nothing but I here. Right. So the voltage and current which were developed across the coil are given by this relation V is equals to L into di by dt. And L is called as inductance. Okay, it depends basically on the dimension of your inductor, how many turns you have, what is the area of cross section of the coil you have used. So on that parameters this L value will depend, right? So you can design any inductor by having more number of turns, and based on the cross section of the wire you have used, the L value will keep on varying. Okay, right,
Sir,
the unit, yeah.
sir, is this condition only during charging, or we can apply this during discharging too? In plus terminal, we have current
This
coming in the plus terminal.
See, for an inductor, as far as AC circuit is concerned, okay, so this is the one condition which we are considering at charging. That means current is flowing into the positive terminal and inductor is drawing some amount of energy. Okay,
Yes, sir.
that is condition when it is charged. But if you consider an AC circuit, okay, so if I connect this inductor in an AC circuit, what will be the
Yes,
current
sir.
leaving here? Can you say, anyone?
Sir, it will be changing polarities.
No, in an AC circuit, the current will be same IL will be flowing out of this terminal also. Okay, current in a series, because it's a series circuit, right? You have an element here, you have a wire here, you have a wire here. The current flowing into the positive terminal and current leaving out of the positive negative terminal will be same. It's a series circuit. Okay, right.
Yes, sir.
So the charging and discharging concept we will talk only during transient times. That means mostly in DC circuits. In AC circuits, what happens is you have positive and negative half cycle, right? If you consider during positive half cycle, you are understanding, na? IL is an alternating waveform here.
Yes, sir.
During positive half cycle, for this polarity, if it is charging, during negative half cycle, for this polarity, it will be discharging.
Yes, sir.
You understand, na? Because IL is
Sir,
positive
means
or
both of
negative.
process are. Yes,
Sorry?
sir. Sir, that the process are going together.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that means
Both the processes are going together. So since it's an alternating waveform, so one half cycle, if you consider it is charging, so that means your V and I are positive. I has some positive value at the same instant V is also having positive value. So the product is V into I. So that means it is charging, P is positive. Right.
yes, sir.
Right. When both are negative, also it is charging. But one fellow is positive, another fellow is negative, then it is called as discharging. So that means
Yes,
in an
sir.
AC circuit, the charging and discharging happens alternatively. Okay. Sometime it is
Yes, sir.
charging, next time it is discharging, again discharging. So it keeps on going on. Right. That's
Yes,
the
sir.
difference in an AC circuit. It's an alternating waveform. Alternatively, if it is one time it is charging, immediately it will discharge. Again it will charge, again it is discharge. So it keeps on doing that. So that's why AC capacitors and DC capacitors are different. Right.
Yes, sir.
So DC capacitors are designed in such a way that I want to charge it and remain the current for a long time. That means energy needs to be stored for a long time. That's the scenario you design. But in AC, it's not like that. You want to charge for half cycle and negative half cycle, next half cycle, maybe you want to discharge. Okay, so the design process is different, completely different for DC and AC capacitors or inductors, whatever it may be. Okay, right.
Okay, sir.
So, okay. In terms of capacitors, I told for inductor, obviously DC will be, what will happen for a DC for an inductor? Can anyone say for capacitor under steady state condition? I told the capacitor will act as open circuit for a DC. Why means you have seen I is equals to C into dV by dt. So when V is not varying with respect to time, that means voltage across the capacitor terminals is constant. The current flowing through the capacitor is zero, and you observe that I is equals to 0, and it is an open circuit. Same analogy if you apply for the inductor. Seeing the expression V is equals to L into di by dt. If the current is a constant, that means I apply a DC current. IL is equals to some constant value. So what will happen to V?
So it will behave like zero
Sir,
resistance.
voltage V is zero. It means
Yeah.
sir,
Zero
short
resistance
circuit.
Zero
wire.
resistance.
That means it is zero resistance.
Sir,
Voltage is equals to 0. So that means it is zero resistance. The V is equals to I into R. So it is almost like a zero resistance. Okay. So di I is not varying with respect to time, so di is going to become 0. So V is equals to 0. So it means it is zero resistance. And the voltage difference between these two terminals, positive and negative terminals, is 0. That means VL is equals to 0. That means it is a short circuit. Okay. So for DC, for capacitor, it acts as open circuit. For DC current, for inductor, it will act as a short circuit. Okay. The unit for inductor is Henry's or volt second per ampere. Okay. From equation 2, if you think, it will be volt second per ampere, the unit for inductance cell. Or in short form, we call it as Henry's. There it is Farad, it is Henry's here. The same expression, equation 2, if you write in this format after integrating, you will observe that I is equals to 1 by L integral V of t with respect to dt with constant k. Okay, so constant k is the initial conditions. If there are no initial conditions, then k will be equals to 0. So I of t is equals to 1 by L integral V of t with respect to dt. Right. So coming to the basic characteristics of an ideal inductor, we have already seen this. For DC, the inductor acts as short circuit. Okay, we have just now discussed why it is acts as short circuit. Current is constant, di remains 0, so V is equals to 0. V is equals to 0 means no resistance, it is short circuit. Okay. In the case of a capacitor, an abrupt change in voltage, it will try to oppose. In the case of an inductor resists an abrupt change in current through it. Okay. That means it will not allow the current to change instantaneously to a large value. Okay, right. Reason is same. If you want to do that, you require infinite amount of voltage. V is equals to L into di by dt. If you want to change the current to a large value in a short span of time, you require infinite very large voltage. Okay, right. That is not possible in real systems. So what happens? An inductor resists an abrupt change in current through it. Okay, you can't change the current in steps. That means at one instant it is 2 amperes. Immediately after that, current increase to 100 amperes. It won't happen. It will have a smooth fashion only. It has to move. Okay, it will not allow the current to change in instantaneously. So this is regarding basic concept regarding inductor and capacitor, their passive sign convention, and how the voltage across the capacitor or inductor and the current flowing into the capacitor or inductor relation we have seen. Okay, right. So next we will, is it clear, right? Till now what we have discussed?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. Right from starting, we have introduced AC waveform with different terminologies in AC circuits, leading and lagging power factor, how the voltage is generated. We have introduced 2 more elements, what is inductor and capacitor, how they behave for DC source. Okay, so we have seen all these things. Next, we will see. We have only 10 minutes. I will just give you some introduction and then maybe we'll leave. Okay. Right. So we'll see what is forced response to sinusoidal forcing function and complex forcing function. So what is this forced response means? In what it means is here, force means voltage, because voltage is the one which is trying to force or trying to pump current through the circuit. Okay. Right. So the force is created by voltage. Okay. Right. So we will see response. Response means we are trying to find out what is the current in some element, what is the voltage across some element. That is called as response. So in any circuit, what is the response in any current or across any element? Okay, when you apply a sinusoidal forcing function, that means if you apply a sinusoidal voltage, what will be the response at different parts of the circuit? That we are going to study. Next, complex forcing function. That means a complex voltage waveform, right? Complex voltage means it will have a real part and an imaginary part, right? A sinusoidal forcing function will be like Vm sine of omega t, what we have seen, right? That's how a sinusoidal single phase voltage was generated, and it is expressed as Vm sine of omega t. You can consider. So when a circuit is there, and if you are applying Vm sine of omega t as the voltage to the circuit, and what is the current and voltage flowing at different parts of the circuit, we will try to see. Next, we will move to complex forcing function. Okay, complex forcing function means it's a function where the voltage itself has 2 parts. One is real part and the one is imaginary part, right? When both parts are present in your circuit, how to analyze the circuit. Okay, we will see these 2 stages. Why we are using complex forcing function? What is the need for using complex forcing function? Because complex itself says real and imaginary. One is real, another one is imaginary. Imaginary means it's imaginary. It does not exist in real system. Even then, we are trying to study what is complex forcing function. Why we should study complex forcing function? Why we have to use this kind of voltage waveform when you are analyzing circuits? That all we will discuss in next class. Okay, I think I should stop at this point. Right. So in next class we will see what is sinusoidal forcing function, what is complex forcing function, why we are using these 2 functions, what is the response with these 2 functions in your circuit. Clear? because there is only 7 to 10 minutes. Yeah, 7 minutes is there, so better not to start this topic. Okay. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Can we leave or anyone has any doubt? Okay. So if there are no doubts, you can leave. So tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, we'll have again online class. Tomorrow is Tuesday, right?
Thank you, sir.
So, okay. Okay. We'll join
Sir,
tomorrow
I
morning.
have a doubt.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Okay. Okay.
Can we go to previous slide?
1 second. 1 second.